Hey Libra, welcome to your September forecast. I hope that your month is getting off to a really great start. Just a reminder that you can always use these videos for your sun sign, your rising, and also for your moon. I'd like to start off by just saying thank you. Thanks to everybody who's been liking, subscribing, and also especially for those of you that have been joining me on Patreon and also donating on my website. Know that everything that you see here is really because it's viewer supported. So what you're doing helps me do more videos. So if you would like to support the channel, you can do so with as little as $1 donation, either recurring or one time. There'll be a link below the video, and I'm also putting some information right at the bottom of the video. So thank you so much again if you've been willing and able to support, and if you'd like to, I put the information there. Now let's get started and take a look to see what's coming through for your sign this month. As you know, every month I select a deck of cards to work with for each sign, then I meditate, and as I do that, I receive images, sounds, and sometimes direct messages just through words, and I write that out. The message that came through for you this month was really to embrace the idea of being an individual and walking sort of a singular path, which can sometimes be a little bit lonely. But the exact words were, this is the time to make bold moves, even if others don't understand you. March to the beat of your own drum. And if we sort of play with that musical theme for a minute, in my mind I heard the old Peter Gabriel song, Salisbury Hill. It's been used in a bunch of movies, and I bet you if you Google it, if you don't know it, you'll immediately when you hear it, you'll know what I'm talking about. The song was written kind of by, it was a spiritual experience that he had when he was deciding to change his career, drop out of a band, go solo, and make this big change in his life when a lot of his friends probably thought he was crazy, and that's actually like one of the lines, all my friends will think I'm a nut. So what I want you to do this month is realize that broad strokes, broad movements often can confuse or confound people around you. But if you feel it, and if you're sort of driven or drawn towards a certain outcome, then you have to follow your heart and soul. It worked out for him, and it can work out for you too. Now, for those of you that are thinking, I feel comfortable with where I'm at, I don't really have this fork in the road. Really what this is about is making sure that from a day-to-day perspective that you're not tuning out that higher level knowledge, and that you're not letting go of something just because of peer pressure or family pressure or societal pressure. It's a lot easier said than done, but we have these sort of things every day, and a lot of times they work on a very, very subtle level. And so this month, be aware of that, and don't be afraid to make a shift if it feels right for you. That's really your channeled message. All right, let's get to the part now that I know you've been waiting for. We're gonna take a look at all of the cards. Let me give it a good shuffle. While I'm doing that, I'm just gonna outline my format. I start off with a Celtic cross, which we'll be doing here in just a moment, and then I expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. All right, at this point, I like to remain quiet and simply focus on the cards and their placement. We'll go into more in just a moment. All right, in addition to everything that we just pulled here, I also like to take a look at a catalyst card. For me, the catalyst is a great way to see patterns in what I've pulled here. Sometimes it can help you maximize, other times it can help you neutralize the energy of the month. All right, so we have a wonderful card here, Discovery, summing up the fact that if you do choose to sort of go on that path that I was talking about, some really cool things can await you. Now, if we fast forward here to the end, we have Justice. And don't worry, I'm going to cover all the cards in a second, but what I see when I'm looking at these two is that there's a choice this month, a choice to, again, try something new and possibly learn things that you didn't know about yourself, or discover new things just in general, or to sort of stay on your present course. Either is fine, but there is this sort of opportunity to stretch. Now, even if you stay put, I'm seeing also a lot of creative energy, and we'll get to this again in a second here with the Deep Past, the High Priestess. So no matter what you decide, I think that you can make really good use of all of the opportunities that come to you this month, especially for those of you that are an artist or creative or just wishing to create some sort of a shift. The energy is absolutely there. Let's go ahead now and take a look at each card one by one and all the meanings behind it. And at the very end, I'll let you see the entire placement. But for now, I'd like to focus on one message at a time. At the center, you have the Tower card, but it is reversed. And for me, the reversal of the Tower actually shows an opportunity to create or destroy things. But usually you have a say in the matter, which is cool. And I like that I have kind of this deck of witches and wizards, which is kind of cool. It's very Harry Potter looking. But what I see here is a creative force. There's magic behind taking apart or rearranging it. And for me, that really is what happens when there is a Tower in reverse. There's either a sense of choice, of knowing ahead of time that something's going to happen, or sometimes selecting to make the change in your life. And that was kind of what I was seeing or feeling, whether you want to see it as a fork in the road or having that vision at the top of a hilltop, just like that song that I mentioned. There's this moment where you're going to get a download and you think, maybe I'll try this, or maybe this is worth exploring. Whatever that aha moment is for you, it could even just be deciding to go out on a limb and ask someone out on a date, or to just apply for a job that you never thought you might be considered for. If you feel it, if you feel this moment like, I really need to try this, I want you to go for that. The rest of you, the Tower reverse is speaking about cleaning up your life. So it could be literally looking at all the stuff around you and deciding, do I really need this? Can I let go of some things? It can be about looking at how you're treating your body, which can include anything from your diet to the environment that you're sort of existing in. This can be personalities, places, things that sort of lead to having this toxicity around you. So whatever it is that you feel like you need to clean up, this is also a good month to do that. If you're not feeling for like a major life decision change, you can make small changes that are going to have a big impact on you in the long run. As we look at your deep past, we have the High Priestess card, one of my favorites because it really shows higher level manifestation, a great creative influx of energy coming in, heightened intuition, and a sense that you can actually start to accomplish things. So this is in your deep past. This is showing me that you have all of those skills and that you're going to be pulling on those this month. What's affecting that as you go into the beginning of the month here is the Five of Cups card. And the Five of Cups was reversed. We'll turn it upright so you can see a picture of this. For some of you, there might have been some lost momentum. Maybe you felt like it's taking too long to have things happen. Others of you may have been doing all of the work that you needed to, but you're not feeling satisfied with what happened. There's this sense of like, is this everything? Or am I doing something wrong? Or why isn't this working out? I want you to kind of imagine in your mind for a moment that you're on exactly the right timing, that everything has been set up, that you are successful and you're being supported by your own choices and the universe. When you do that, then you regain power in your life. And what we have here in the crowning position is the Lover's card. It's reversed, but it's still a very positive card. This is showing that it's okay for you to ask for assistance. And you have people around you that may have actually already reached out and said that they're willing to help, but either you weren't ready to receive it, or maybe you didn't even hear it, or the way that they hinted or said it was so kind of subtle or hidden that you didn't quite pick up on it. So this month, I want you to recognize the power that you have, recognize that you have choices that can continue to bring you into a positive direction, because with the Five of Cups, there's always opportunity. You have a few cups that have spilled, yes, but you have a lot to be grateful for, and you can make a lot with what is left. And that's really what this month is presenting. For some of you, a loss or a change or a shift, and then still something worth celebrating despite that, still something that you can do. When we go right at the center, I forgot to mention the card that crossed the center card is the Page of Cups. And what is Page of Cups about? Creative expression. I mentioned it's a good time for art. It's a good time to show different sides of yourself, to take risks, to be more socially kind of out there. For some of you, this could mean deepening a relationship or possibly meeting someone new, but the Page of Cups is good. And so that Tower is tempered by your own positivity, your own emotions. If you let things kind of go in a negative space, then you call into creation, because remember, there's a magic to this Tower card. You can feel it's constructive or destructive. If you think it's destructive, it will be. If you think it's constructive, then it will be. As I look at the near future, many of you might be second-guessing yourself, but I really want you to realize that you have what it takes. The King of Wands, sometimes the Queen of Wands, really good for management. When I see the card in reverse, it's saying focus on your life, your needs, and what you need to do for yourself. For those of you that might be like a parent or a boss or have a lot of people that look up to you, this can be tricky because You might even be feeling this month, how can I do that when I'm supposed to be having it all together for everyone else? They expect me to have this perfect life, but it doesn't feel right. Just realize everybody's going through something similar. And so focus on yourself. You might want to talk to one of your friends, loved ones, or even a professional and say, hey, how do I work through all of this? What do I do about these changes or these feelings? And know that you have that support. Once you do that, then we have the Page of Swords. In your ego, action is at your disposal. And for many of you, this is encouraging open communication and also expression through writing. And it's in the upright position, showing that it's a strength this month. And it's a very clear card. There's nothing in the sky here. There is a focus again on the written word. And this deck is infused with a lot of magical symbols here. So I want you to know that this is a charming and a very good skill for you this month. You can win people over with it. So don't be afraid to use the power of words and positive words at that. The card is upright. You don't need to be negative. And sometimes even if other people don't know how to communicate effectively, this is where you can lead by example. When I look at the environment, many of you are in a place where the stress is definitely getting to you. This may be affecting your sleep habits. You could be thinking too much about the negative possibilities. And I think it's okay to have a critical mind, ask questions, think through potential problems, but to only embrace that could be dangerous. I want you to try to be a little bit of an optimist this month, because when we look at this card, that's really what the Five of Cups is begging for. And I think that's why the card was reversed. So acknowledge any sort of disappointments or pitfalls that might have happened or could happen, but don't think that those are indicative of the only thing that can happen. Know that it just was something that you've gone through. Once you've learned something and released them, new things can come in and replace them. So we have the Six of Wands in your opportunity space. It's also in the fear area. And so what this means, first of all, Six of Wands could be summed up by one word, which I see as a claim in this, or support. And the truth of the matter is people are rooting for you. And yeah, there may be always one or two people in your life that present more problems than others. They're called in as teachers. They may not be rooting for you, but they're trying to teach you something. But I think the energy this month, when we look at your crowning card and when we look at your environment card, and again, if we just kind of turn them upright, you have the Lovers and the Six of Wands. A lot of support, a lot of love. You just have to choose to activate it, speak, ask, communicate, and bring that help into your life. As we look at your outcome card, many of you are going to have a big decision in front of you. Justice symbolizes, of course, your sign. This is like the best quintessential card to pull for Libra. So on a positive note, this is telling me that you're in your power center this month, and it makes sense. September and October are fabulous months for Libra. So I want you to own the energy that's coming in, because this is your time. That's really what that card is saying. The other side of this, though, is this big decisions. For some of you, deciding to go forward with something. For some of you, to decide to leave it behind. It could be, again, a relationship, a job, a way of living, a piece of your life that you thought was important. It's also speaking to the importance of fairness and abiding by the letter of the law. So this isn't the month to try to sneak under the radar when it comes to something. Pay your bills on time. If you're a business, make sure that you're operating under all of the rules and regulations and that you're up to code on everything. And by and large, if you do this, you're supported, because we have the Lovers, the Justice card, and the Six of Wands, which all show me that things are pointed in a much better direction than many of you may have felt you've been going in a long time. When I look at the last quarter of the year for you, it's ringing a lot of positivity in these cards. So the big decision for many of you is sort of like this do I stay, do I go moment, or do I embrace this, or do I let it go? And so only you can answer that, but I am going to say this. When I look at the Lovers in the crowning position and I see a Page of Cups card in the center, one thing that I can tell you about wherever you're at in your life, this is what matters, not this. You have to feel it with your heart space. It may not make sense on paper, and it may not make sense to others, but your heart will lead you to your true north. It will be the compass that you can always depend on. That's my advice this month, is follow that passion, okay? We're gonna look at all of this again at the end, but right now I'm gonna expand the forecast. As I said, I look at health, wealth, love, and destiny. That allows me to take whatever information I need from the general spread and still give you guys this, the sort of areas that all of us want to know about. So we'll start with health, knowing that health includes mind, body, and spirit. And your health card this month is silence. And this card was reversed, but I'm going to keep it upright so we can just see the picture for a second. And for many of you, what I'm seeing here is maybe an absence of quiet time, of nurturing yourself. For many of you, this is a sort of a call for meditation, because when I look at this, it's all about the third eye, and we see what looks like the moon here. So I really want you to focus on setting up a peaceful environment when you're going to bed, and focusing on your dreams in particular, because sometimes what we see or feel coming through in that sort of nocturnal time is what really, it's powerful intuition, and it can show us things about our body because we're looking at health here, and also about our relationships, because I feel like emotions kind of spill over between health and love. So I want you to focus on that this month. I think the key thing for you is sleep, rest, and time to decompress when I look at that card. All of these things are going to help you. The only other component that comes through is to just pay attention to any sort of pressure that you might have in your ears, or issues with hearing, since we got silence and it was in the health area. So if you're prone to ear infections, or if you're having any sinus congestion and it's affecting like the eustachian tubes or something like that, some of you may want to check that out. But I think primarily this is about rest. Rest, peace, quiet, and meditation. Let's go ahead and expand and look now at your wealth. Wealth is not just money, it's about opportunities and also relationships with self-worth and net worth. So let's let the card illustrate what's coming through in that part of your life. Actually, this card wants to come out. So some of you are either making a change with this, because whenever I see the Voyage card, on some levels it reminds me of the world. So when we're looking at money and career, this could involve a big shift or a big change in it. It's a global card, so if you have a business, this can be about expanding your outreach to include a wider audience or a more global distribution. It can also mean that for some of you, this is the time to take a trip, or to do research, external research, to see what's out there. The card is reversed, so it's showing a need to outstretch, a need to kind of get outside of your mind and your current sort of limits. So with your money, look a little bit, do some shopping around. Let's say, for instance, that you've got you're putting all your savings in one bank. Is it the best APY that you have, the annual yield? Are you getting enough money back on that? Could you diversify your portfolio? Or looking also at different places to invest if you're thinking of properties and stuff like that. Otherwise, again, don't be afraid to reach out for help. It's just moving outside of just your own sort of silo. That's really what this card is embracing. As we look now at we looked at health, wealth, let's look at love. Let's see what's coming through for relationships this month. I like to remind people that this isn't just about a passionate relationship with a lover. It can also mean friendships or other sort of relationships that involve the exchange of love. So we have here leadership. And I do think that this is actually more about you taking the lead in your most intimate relationships. Most of your cards when it comes to the expanded forecasts have been reversed. So it's just a call to action when that happens. So Zeus, obviously king of the gods. And also, I would say someone who's had questionable leadership qualities if you look back at mythology. I loved Greek mythology and Roman mythology, but he was not the best of leaders. So the first thing that really comes through then is that it's important for you to do what's right. If there's someone in your life who is leading you down a certain path that feels like it's wrong, don't do it. The outcome card is justice. This is a very strong card to, as I said, follow the rules, follow the regulations. So if you have someone like Zeus in your life that is charismatic but is pushing people to make the wrong choices, this is not the right time to do that. It's probably never the right time to do that, but especially this month, because these two cards in tandem are saying you're not going to get away with it. The other piece is that this is a chance for you to, like I said, step up. That's why the card was reversed. And there may be a situation in your life where It's sort of calling out for someone to speak up, to kind of swoop in. We look at the eagle here, and that's justice, and that's really what the justice piece is in this. Someone coming in and saying, okay, I'm going to take the wheel here and help out. So there could be someone in your life that is just making poor decisions and you want to give them a hand, or you might notice that there's someone younger or older that needs help and they're kind of either unaware that you're there to help or afraid to ask. So you just come in and say, hey, I feel like you could use some help here. What do you think? And that's really what this card is about. So either step up where there is no leader or where leadership is lacking, or speak up when something is going astray. Be the voice of reason at the table. So you don't have to kind of in a public way shame or sort of make your leader feel like you don't have their back. Instead, what you could do is say, hey, I don't know if you realize this, but I was doing some research and it may be better if we do this, this, and this to avoid any issues with this. So you can bring it up as a suggestion rather than a point of criticism. Then it's like, hey, I wanted to make sure you knew about this so that we can be even more successful. And that might be the nudge that the leader needs. And when they think about it again, they'll have a chance. At the very least, you know that you've spoken up and you did the right thing. Actually, one last thing before I move on. For some of you, there could just be a power struggle in your relationship, since this was in the relationship area. So same thing goes in this. You have to do what you feel is right. And if someone isn't allowing you to be yourself or is forcing you to do something that you don't want to do, I would say all of the same advice that I just said for like business or other relationships holds true, especially if you're in a love relationship. Make sure that you have equal power and equal footing. It's all about that balance, and be the strong and good communicator that you can be to make sure that the scales are balanced for you. Let's go ahead now and take a look at the Destiny card. For me, Destiny is akin to a GPS. And this month we mentioned that the heart is really going to be your GPS. So let's see what the heart has to say with Destiny this month. Realizing that you can always make a choice. You can always shift to a different direction. And that's really why we look at this. So we have inspiration, and keeping on the theme of mythology and balancing out that masculine card here, we have the Muses. And this is really encouraging you to do something that moves you. It doesn't just have to be art. This can be anything in your life. For some of you, maybe you want to get involved in something political or sports, or deciding to take a more active role in your children's life or something like this. Whatever it is that you've been kind of holding back on because of work, other pressures, other expectations, this goes right back to the channeled inspiration, or the channeled information, which was to follow your inspiration. And so just like that song that I was mentioning, don't be afraid to do what is internally okay with you. Again, even if others don't understand it, it seems like there's a nice common thread throughout everything. Let's go ahead now and we'll wrap up everything. I'll turn the camera down in a second. You can see everything card by card, but let me start off with the channeled information, which was again this. This is the time to make bold moves, even if others don't understand. March to the beat of your own drum. And then I mentioned with your catalyst that it's a month of discovery. Notice the focus point, or the focal point rather, is on the heart. So following that divine inspiration and information here that you already have, but sometimes aren't necessarily receiving or maybe embracing. Now, as we look at this card by card, the central card was one of changing and shifting, the Tower in reverse. What's great about this particular one is there's a sense of empowerment and creation that goes along with the deconstruction or destruction of whatever's going on. It's tempered by creativity, a theme that comes through many times. We see it in the deep past. We also see it here in the outcome. And so if you follow that inspiration and pull upon all of those sort of creative energies that you have, then nothing can really stop you. What's really going to be important towards the beginning of the month with the Five of Cups card here is to focus on positivity over negativity, acknowledging what's gone wrong, but also now embracing what you can do as a result of learning through this sort of like trial by fire for many of you. With the Lovers card in the crowning position in reverse, reach out, ask for help. There's a lot that wants to come to you. I see it again in hopes, fears, and opportunities. Six of Wands, Lovers, showing me that it's there. Don't second guess it. Speaking up, speaking out made a lot more sense when we looked at your relationship card, which strangely enough was also kind of going over into business because we talked about leadership and positive or negative leadership. For many of you, I'm feeling a lot of stress this month, and it could just be that you're not taking care of yourself with sleep. We also noticed in the expanded forecast that it's important to meditate and rest. So just make sure that you're getting that rest and that your bedroom is peaceful enough. I've talked about this in the past, but it's really important to have an environment that feels soothing. You've noticed that several months ago I moved, and I really focused on getting rid of old stuff, and I recreated the environment around me. I believe we can do that at any point. You don't have to wait for a move. You can always kind of go around and decide, I don't need this, or I'd like to change this, shift the color palette, shift the energy, and it has amazing effects upon your life. So try it, and I kind of follow my own advice when it comes to that. And going again to the outcome card here, it's all about balance, about doing what's right, about doing everything that's intrinsic to your sign and the strengths of your sign, speaking up, speaking out, balancing things, feeling good, and following the letter of the law. So be a good Libra this month, and I think that things are going to be really good for you. As we expand the forecast, the number one area that needs attention is this sense of peace, tranquility, sleep, rest. Something's off, and it's really important for you to find that balance, that equilibrium. It could also be for some of you issues of balance too. Literally, I'm seeing justice. If you're feeling vertigo or feeling nauseous or feeling something like that, get that checked out. Figure out what it is in your life that's causing it. Sleep, some sort of deficiency or something like that. As we look at your wealth card, about reaching out, trying new things, diversifying, not being afraid to ask for help, not being afraid to go somewhere else if you're feeling like stagnant in whatever's going on with your money. As we look at love and relationships, a very sort of high-level card came through, which was leadership. But for some of you, overcoming difficult leaders, bad leaders, people that are trying to make you do things that don't feel right. Be like the eagle in this, symbolic of justice, and swoop in and do what you have to do to make that change. Most importantly, and I think this really sums up your month, we'll talk more about that at the end, but the muses are there for you. They're here to help you achieve what you want. You have to call upon them though, and that's what this is about. You notice the high priestess calling in the inspiration, honoring what she has at her disposal, and then the muses come rushing in. So you have it this month. You can make the changes that you want, but for many of you, you have to embrace what might be a difficult shift in your life. But ultimately, really great things happen if you do that. So that does bring this monthly reading to a close. If you ever have something that you're going through in your life, it could be a breakup, a shakeup, some sort of big decision, and you would just like some additional insight on that, I'd be happy to meet with you. You can look right below the video. The first link will be a link that will let you look at my booking rates and availability. So if it makes sense, that's something you can do. As we mentioned before, you can also, if you just like what you're seeing on this channel and you would like to give back, a donation of $1 can be done through Patreon or my website, and it really makes a big difference. So if you'd like to do that, please do, and know that a lot of gratitude comes back for me whenever you do that. But if you can't, another way to share and to just make a difference in the channel is to share it on your Facebook page or to retweet one of my tweets. Just spread the word, and I appreciate that as well. Speaking of social media networks, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I have a newsletter, and I'm also on here, of course. And if you look at the third link, you can click on that and it will allow you to join all of those, because that would be a great way to kind of keep in touch whenever I make some new videos or have some news. Definitely check that out and stay in touch. So that is everything as far as your monthly reading goes and all of the housekeeping. And now at the end, I really like to just talk about, first, I want to express some gratitude, not for all of the other stuff we're talking about, but because you're working on yourself. That's really all that matters. That's why I show up this time each month, and I hope it's why you're coming here. Yeah, it's nice to kind of know what's coming through in all these major areas, but the main focus of all of my videos, if you haven't noticed, is a shift in consciousness, a shift in personal growth, a feeling of empowerment and enlightenment. I'm not here to just sort of like give an update on if someone hot is coming into your life or what's going on with money. It all happens within. And I want you to know that you have that power now and always. And that's really what I'm seeing for Libra this month. Embrace this power that's there. And if you do, There's a lot of shift and a lot of shifting, I should say, and a lot of changing that can happen. And for those of you that are fearing or maybe overthinking the whole public acclaim piece of it, it'll happen, it'll follow. And that could mean just worrying about, will people love me, or am I going to be okay, or will they support me? Again, going back to that musical example that I gave, just try something new, take a bold move, and I can't wait to see where it leads you. On that note, I wish you the best now and always. See you again real soon. Bye-bye.